Hello, welcome to Candy Shoppe Yarns, where everything is sugar-free and high in fiber. I'm Deborah, the owner of Candy Shoppe Yarns, and this is the ultimate destination for knitting and crochet enthusiasts. And today's video is an accounting of 2025. So let's get started. Well, it's been a few weeks since my last video. It's been the Christmas holidays, New Year's. How has your season been? I hope that it's been great for you and for your family, and I hope that everybody is healthy right now. My husband and I, my daughter who live here, we're all healthy, but man, everything is going around everywhere. So I'm stocked up on my zinc and vitamin D and vitamin C and washing hands and fingers crossed. So I've got my trusty handy dandy notebook. This is my project notebook for all of my knitting and crocheting. And if you have been here before, you're familiar with this. This is where I keep an account of all of my projects, and also it is where I'm keeping track of how much yarn is coming in and going out. So this will be the final update for 2025's Shop Your Stash series. So let's see how have I done. And then we're also going to see how I did for the entire year in using my stash. And at the end, if you stick around, I'll share a few of my favorite things that I received from friends and family for Christmas, and many of them handmade, and a new hobby that I have picked up. So, okay, let me open up my notebook. So first of all, I shared that I was working on an Advent project from an Advent that was curated by my friend Kimberly. She's not a yarn dyer. She had collected yarns and put it together as an Advent for me. She and I do swaps each year. And this was one from 2024 that she had given me. And I started it on, let me find my notes, on December 2nd. And I decided to do another Manderly scarf by Amy Loudon of And Other Knits. And this pattern came out towards the beginning of December, so it is now available. And I adapted it to make it an Advent project. So I have shown you this one before. You will have seen this. This is a Manderly scarf that I made using a whole bunch of minis, scraps that I kind of planned how I could hold them together to get a nice cohesive look. And I loved it so much and wanted to make another one, but I wanted to use an Advent. So I showed you the beginning of it last time. I can't even remember. It has been a while since I've recorded, but I have since finished. I started it on December 2nd and finished on Christmas Eve. So here is my scarf. I did not use all 24 colors. I just decided that I wanted to end it here because I readjusted a couple of the colorways, put them in different orders. It would have ended in green, and I felt like the jump was a little too stark, and so I decided to leave that off. So I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19 scallops. That's how many minis I used. So I started here, ended here, and I love it. I think it is really fun. It was such a fun project to work on. And this one seemed to go faster. I think it's because changing colors, it's always exciting to see the next color. And so I was doing like one section every day and a half, and then as time went on, I ended up doing like 1.5 sections a day. So it all ended out taking me 22 days to get 20. Is that what I said, or did I say 19? 20. I already forgot how many scallops, but I blended one color to the next for 8 rows. So this is a DK weight pattern, and I was using fingering weight yarn held double. So like I had a little cake, and I would pull from the inside and the outside together at the same time to hold 2 strands together to get a DK weight. And when it's time to blend, I dropped 1 strand of the old and picked up 1 strand of the new for 8 rows. And then I dropped the old and did all new. So what ended up happening is some colorways I had enough that I could have done 2 more rows. I'll tell you about that in a second. And some I didn't. So what I did to use 20 grams of this yarn base, because all of them I couldn't get the same number of rows. In this section right here where you're doing straight rows, I omitted 1 repeat, which is 2 rows. And that made it so that I could get through the whole scallop with every mini. So many of them I could have gotten them all, but some of them I couldn't. And I found that on this mini right here. So that's where I made the change in the beginning. So that was good. Or was it this one? It was this one. I have none left of this color. So this is what I have left of my yarns. Of the minis that I used. This is not including the ones that I didn't use. And this totals, I think, 21 grams. The orange one, you'll see I have quite a bit of that one, which is the last colorway. And I was concerned that this section would use more yarn because it did on the very first one. So with this color and this color, I used all of them. I just kept blending and kept blending to make sure that I would have enough of this last colorway and not run out. I had plenty. I would have been fine. It doesn't matter though, because it looks great. So that was a fun project. Now I wove in all my ends, but I have not snipped them yet. I need to go and snip them all. So this one weighs 407.5 grams. So that's pretty good. That advent weighed, did I not write it down? Oh, I did, 580. I thought I didn't write it down, and I was like, my numbers will all be off. 580 grams is how much that advent weighed. And I used 407.5 grams of it. I didn't use the full skein. I didn't use all the minis. Luna, come here, girl. Okay, while we're at it, let me show you this year's advent that I received from my friend Kimberly. This one is so fun. Sometimes, but not very often, I use the advent as I open it. But what I really like doing is opening them all and seeing them all laid out together like this. It makes me so happy. And then I will leave it out like this, and then after a while I'll make something with it. So it started here, and the colors went down this way, and then here, and then here, and ended there. And this was the full skein, which is so beautiful. Now, I don't know who the dyer is of these minis, or if it's even a single dyer or multiple yarn dyers. It looks like the same base for all of them. And many of these colorways seem to go together, so I would imagine that they were sets that she had purchased, and it's possible that they came from Charming You. It's also possible that it was an advent from Charming You. I don't know, but it's beautiful. I love it. I loved every single day opening those. It was a lot of fun. So I look forward to using those yarns. Okay, let's fold this up. I really wanted to just finish projects so that I had a clean slate for 2026. So after I finished this on Christmas Eve, then I decided to pull out the Crochet Baby blanket, the shell stitch blanket that I had started. Let's see when I started that. October 15th, so it had been a couple of months. And I finished it. It's done. Here it is. There are a couple of mistakes in here that I found, and I didn't rip back to fix them because this yarn is very difficult to rip out. But in general, I don't think that anything really stands out. The one that bothers me the most, that stands out to me, is this one right here. But I mean, if I didn't point it out to you, you would never have noticed. So whoever I give it to, they're not going to notice or even care. But I don't know who this is going to. It's just going to go into my gift stash. Now this pattern, let's tell you a bit about it. This one was from a YouTube video tutorial called How to Crochet a Shell Stitch Square / Blanket by Mary Matthews Handmade. There are a lot of different tutorials and patterns for this same blanket, but that's the one I followed. I had started making this with a smaller hook, and what I found is that it was rippling, it was flaring out. So it wasn't laying flat. Let me hold this out. It still does a bit. You can see how this ripples a little bit. It doesn't lay 100% flat, but I asked for some help on Instagram, and I had the suggestion that I should go up 1 or 2 hook sizes and see if that helped. And so I did that, and it did. So when I fold this up, let me show you what happens. This is not really a square. Okay, here we go. You can see how this flares up and that flares out. This doesn't make a perfect square. Even if I fold it up this way, you could see it. I'm trying to get them to lay down flat, but there's more fabric here, trying to make a square. I mean, it's close enough. There, that's a better, you can see it a little bit better there. How it's not 90 degrees right here. And it's really the nature of this specific pattern I've found after doing several different attempts, but it works great. I used Soft Ombre by Loops and Threads. It is a 3-weight yarn. It has 462 yards for 150 grams, and the colorway is Emerald Spearmint White. Emerald / Spearmint / White. So I ended up using 3.5 balls of yarn. I couldn't do a full shell stitch repeat around because some of the 4th ball of yarn I used to make a smaller blanket square that went in another project, and so what I had left over wasn't quite enough. So I still have a little bit of one skein left, but this used 521.4 grams, and it measures 35 inches across, and I ended up with 26 shell stitches, which I counted from the center point and counted out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way out to here, 26. Each shell stitch consists of 2 rows. So it's a 2-row repeat. So that is finished, and I think it is beautiful. And that left me with one more project to work on, but I needed a break for just a minute. And right before Christmas, I needed a break from working on this project because I had already made another Manderly scarf. I was doing this one, and I just wanted to do something small that wasn't going to take me away from working on these projects for long. So I made the tiniest pair of socks. They are so tiny. These are for my soon-to-be born grandson. I gave these to my daughter and son-in-law at Christmas time on some little teeny tiny acrylic sock blockers. They're just adorable. Now, newborn socks are so tiny that you think these won't take much time at all. But they still took me 2 or 3 days, I think. I thought, oh, you know, you could whip them out in an afternoon. But it still consists of cuffs, heels, toes. All of those take time. It's just smaller, so it's a lot of turning and fiddly, but they're adorable. Now, they're a gradient because I have some yarn left over from another project that was a gradient and a gradient yarn. I got this for my birthday from my friend Margaret, and I cranked a pair of socks on, is that how I did it? Yes, on my sock knitting machine. So I had it divided into 2, and they really just lined up, like the colorway repeat was lined up just right. So I started with the green that's here in the middle and kept going. Well, it was kind of a mustardy green, and I ended up with kind of a turquoisey green, but I never did make it to the blue on this. I thought I might have made it to the blue on these newborn socks, but I didn't. And the pattern that I used for that was called Perfect Newborn Socks by Tabitha Gandy, and that's available on Etsy. And it took 5.3 grams per sock. So just a little over 10 grams, 10.6 grams total. And I used a US 0 2mm needle. I have a little bit looser gauge, so I go down to a 0. And they were adorable, and I decided that making baby socks is just not really my thing. So yeah, that's probably all the baby socks I'm going to be making. So I have this yarn left. I think I have like 20 grams, or no, I think I have like 17 grams of each of these. I could make some toddler socks. And then I have one project left unfinished at this point, and I still had, I don't know, 4 days till the end of the year. So I pulled that out. It's not done, but that's the project that I'm working on. Let me show you. I started this many months ago, just on a whim, not knowing even what I'm making with it, and now I have an idea. Okay, so it's called the Field of Daisies Free Crochet Blanket on yarnspirations.com, and I'm just using neon leftovers from another project that I had made. These are my Lisa Frank inspired mini collection, and I had made a cowl with this, a colorwork cowl. And so I just have a whole bunch of these squares that I had made, just not really knowing what I was going to do with it. And then I got this out and made a whole bunch of centers, flower centers, So I have a pile of them that now need the border. And so they need to be finished, but they are fun to make. Now I wove in all the ends except for this last tail because I will crochet over that when I do the next round. And I think I crocheted like 14 centers. I think I have 21 or 22 of these, and I crocheted like 14 centers here. And this is how much yarn I have left. I ended up pulling out a new skein of purple and blue because I had run out of those two, and I wanted to make sure that I could use up more of these yarns and have more of an even balance of colors. But I was thinking, what do I want to make with these? And I just think it would make the cutest granny square cardigan. I mean, imagine these all, I'm trying to grab ones that were already blocked, not all curled up. Imagine these neon colors, these neon flowers as a granny square cardigan. Wouldn't that be so cute? So I did some math to figure out how many of these I would need to make one for me. And I needed somewhere in the realm of 90. I don't have enough yarn to get 90 from what I have left here. And I don't know that I want to make 90. So I have two, oh, I need a hiccup. I keep having these hiccup moments. I have two options that I was thinking of, that instead of doing granny square cardigans for everything, including sleeves, granny squares for a cardigan on all of it, including sleeves, you know, I'd need like 90. I could do the body of it with the granny squares, and then I could pick up stitches and crochet or knit the sleeves with this colorway. This is my Jawbreaker colorway that I dyed with a heavier hand. I added more speckles because I wanted it to, normally it's very light, so I added more speckles for it to stand out a bit more. So I could do that, or the other thing I could do is I could make one for my granddaughter because it doesn't need as many, and she would love these colors. She would really love them. Now, I love these colors. I'm just trying to think, which do I prefer? I probably should make one for her because I think she would probably wear it quite a bit. Her favorite colors are pink and purple, but I know she just likes fun colors anyways, so I might do that. Might end up making her a granny square cardigan because that would not take as much. I'd have to do math again to see how many I need, and would I have enough yarn to do, you know, for the whole body and the sleeves once again. But this is not done, obviously. We are now into January. I didn't finish this last year, so it is going in to 2026 projects. But that's not one that I'm really rushing to finish. It's just one that I work on here and there when I feel like it, so I'm not that worried about it. So I'm getting ready to start. Where did I put it? My knitting group, we had all suggested and then voted on a project that we wanted to work on together for 2026. And the pattern that we ended up voting on is the Rosie Sweater. Now I know that this one is very popular right now for good reason. It is very beautiful. I love it. But because I'm doing my Shop Your Stash challenge, I wanted to see how much yarn I could use from my stash before I need to buy or dye anything. So I have these 3 skeins. Oh, dropping a lavender sachet. I have these 3 skeins that I received as a gift for Christmas from my sister in the past. And I thought these would be beautiful for the main body of the sweater. You'll notice this top one, however, is more heavily speckled. It's, let's see, let's go in order. Light, medium, darkest. So I could do a gradient in the sweater, or I could take the lightest and the darkest and alternate with that, and then not with this one. But alternating when you're holding it double with mohair and doing color work is a nightmare. So I might do the light, medium, dark method. Let's go back. It's easier to see it on the camera than with the naked eye. Light, medium, dark. I might do it like that. So it's a little bit of a gradient on the sweater. And then trying to decide what I want to do for the flowers. It needs to be something that has a strong enough contrast. So looking at black. Look at these colors together. Isn't that beautiful? I think it would be beautiful. Now, I would have preferred a solid color for this, but because I'm using what I have, and this is what I have, and I love this yarn, then I'm going to use that. So I needed mohair for it. So I dyed some mohair, and I shared this before. So I dyed a black, and I dyed some green to go with it. And I was going to do a solid green, and then I thought, well, if these are not solid and I need to alternate and kind of blend, then it would help to have some other ones that are not solid to help balance that out. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but it makes sense in my head. So I need to do a gauge swatch for this so I can get started on that. So that's where I'm going to be focusing on primarily, but I don't like to only work on one project at a time because I can't always take a color work sweater, big bulky project with me that has multiple strands held together and trying to manage the yarn. I can't take that with me all over the place. So I like to take things like socks or hats or cowls, things that are easier to work on. So I like to do something like that. The problem is that I tend to go to those first rather than working on the harder project, even if the harder one is the one I really want. So I try not to start anything else until I'm like, I really need something else to work on for a bit to rest my brain, or so I have something to take with me, and then I'll pull those out. So I'm getting ready to cast this on, and I also want to make a hot water bottle cover for one of my hot water bottles that needs a new cover. But I think what we need to do is we need to see how much yarn have I used since last time, and then we're going to get some other numbers. So here we go. All right, I started with, since our last time we were here together, last episode, 36,970 grams of yarn in my stash. Then I made a hot water bottle cover, which I didn't show on here. Did I show it for Karen? I didn't. Right here. I made a hot water bottle cover. This is for my daughter's mother-in-law. And I just used some scraps once again. And I wanted to personalize it, so I added her name with duplicate stitch letters. And the letters, I just looked up charts on Pinterest for charted letters, and I figured out the math, you know, how many stitches I had, the spacing, what would fit, and I picked a font based on that. And I've done a duplicate stitch video tutorial before on my channel, which I can link in the video here in the description box. The letters are a little bit different. So letters, you know, normally when I do duplicate stitch, I do rows back and forth, but letters are more up and down kind of things, like single lines. So I found that it's easier, it looks best if you start at the bottom of your letters and you work up. And then you also don't want long floats with your duplicate stitch, just like you don't want long floats in color work because they don't stretch as well, and you need to get that hot water bottle in there and it needs to stretch enough. So in order to do that, I bring my yarn back to the next point. I weave it down to the next point and then duplicate stitch. So I try to go up wherever possible. It doesn't always work to go up, but going down, you can see that it just doesn't look as nice. I also showed the inside of this because who doesn't love to see the inside of a project and your floats with color work? So I used 78 grams for that project. The newborn socks took 11 grams. I'm rounding to the nearest gram. So if it's like 0.3 or 0.7, I just round to the nearest one. My Advent scarf took 408 and the baby blanket took 521 grams. I had no new yarn come in this month. So that means I ended with 35,952 grams for a total of 1,018 grams out of my stash that I have used. That's pretty good. Best numbers yet since we started this challenge. Of course, I did do an Advent project and I finished a baby blanket. So now the baby blanket I started months before, but I finished it this month. So that's when I was counting it. So I decided what I wanted to do is go back through all of my notes from this year and see how much yarn I used the entire year. I didn't keep track of how much yarn came in this year, but I did keep track of all the projects I made, I believe, I hope, and how much each one weighed. Now I did spend like 2.5 hours this morning going through all these notes, and there are some where I didn't have how much it weighed, so I had to go find the project and weigh it, or I had to find the yarn that I made it with and weigh that and figure it out with what was left. And so I did some calculations and figured out all of the projects, and by the end, put in your guess, how much yarn did I use the entire year? I'd love to hear what you think and if you're close. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. I used 5,728.7 grams for the entire year. And I broke that down by week, and that means I used 110.7 grams per week. That didn't seem like a whole lot when I broke it down by week. So I decided I'm going to do something a little different. Okay, you will have already seen this on the thumbnail, but here we go. Here's the equivalent of 5,728.7 grams. Here we go. We've got this plus this plus this. That's pretty good. That is pretty darn good. Let's see. Can I get them all here in one? Gotta be careful with my shoulder. Okay, all that yarn. That's the equivalent amount of yarn that I used this whole year. I feel pretty good about it. Okay, so were you close in your guess? Now, if you keep track of your projects all year long, I'd love for you to go through, add it all up, and put your totals in the comments. I'd love to hear. Even take a picture of you with yarn if you have that ability. I mean, I dye yarn, so I have piles of yarn, but I suspect many of us have piles of yarn that we can pull from. So moving forward, I've got my page all ready to go. I'm ready to start fresh for 2026 with new projects. and we'll see how much I can do this year. Now, my goal is not to be a knitting machine or crochet machine. It's not to just get rid of everything. My goal is to enjoy it, to enjoy my stash, because I've always gone, you know, to the yarn that I've recently dyed first and made projects there, and then if I have time I would go to my personal stash. But I'm trying to enjoy my personal stash right now, and I'm trying to get my stash to a reasonable size where it fits in the space I have allotted for it, and that's my goal. All right, let's go on to I have a tiny bit of shop news, and then I want to go into Christmas things, gifts and activities from this last year. So first of all, and a new hobby. First of all, shop news. I will still be on a hiatus from dyeing yarn for probably another month. So my shoulder, my rotator cuff, I did some serious damage to it, and it has been a long and slow healing process, and I am now able to raise it and lift things lightly and do some gentle and careful exercises and stretches with it. So I need to still give myself more time, because I can't just rush into dyeing yarn again and re-injure myself. I've got to be very, very careful and thoughtful with that. And having a diagnosis that I mentioned last time helped me to kind of have an eye-opening moment where I realized this is how it will be in life. And it's only progressing and kind of getting worse, where I injure myself easier and easier. And so I really need to put a lot of time and focus on taking care of my body, being careful with it, so that I can continue to use my body for the rest of my life and not injure myself so easily, and strengthen all of my joints as much as I can. And with that in mind, I will be stopping dyeing yarn in the spring and closing that part of my business down in late spring, early summer. So I'm giving everybody a heads up that that's coming. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be all gung-ho until that point. What I'm doing is I will be doing a booth in the spring, the one that I do every year at the Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair. And after that, I will be selling whatever stock I have, and that will be the end. I'm dyeing whatever bare yarn I have in stock, and that's it. So I actually feel really good about it, making that decision. It was hard. I thought about this for, honestly, the last 2 years I have contemplated this, but I just love doing it so much. I just couldn't bear to let that go. And finally I realized that I would rather let that go than let my ability to use my shoulders or my hands, or, let that go. So just making those decisions. I'm not closing down Candy Shoppe Yarns. I will be continuing with bag making and stitch markers and things like that, at least for now. The other thing is, if you wanted one of my 2025 advent calendars and didn't get one, the good news is I have one left. I had a customer that ordered some that we had an issue with things being able to be delivered to their address. And so I had 2 that were returned to me, and I just refunded her advent. It was sad, because she's just had problems with having things delivered to her address, not being successful with that. So anyways, I have 2 advent calendars. No, I have one already sold. I put them back in my shop, And if you want this last one, then it's there for you. And I also have this, if there is somebody that is interested in it. I had a friend give me this cross stitch kit. I know nothing about it. I'm like, does that even look like the picture on the front? I have no idea. I haven't even opened it. Maybe I better open it. Let's open this here so that we know what's in here. But I had a friend give me one because she thought she was ordering something else and got this instead. And she doesn't cross stitch. And I'm like, well, but I'm not really going to cross stitch either, but I know people that do. I have no idea. Oh, it is that. Okay. I see. It is the picture of the hummingbirds. It's just that they've made the colors on the Ada cloth quite bright and sometimes different colors. So if this is a kit that you're interested in, first person to comment that you're interested in that, you'll have to email, you can comment, but you'll have to email me at candyshopyarns@gmail.com with your address, and you can have this, but you will need to pay for shipping through Venmo. So this is for you for free, other than shipping. Okay, new hobby. Yay. I don't know why, but I just decided one night at like 1 in the morning, come here, Luna. I couldn't sleep, and so I was looking on Pinterest. Oh, I remember what it was. Anyways, doesn't matter. I was looking on Pinterest for some crafts, and I came across a pin that I had pinned a while ago and I forgot about, and it was for loom beading. It was for this bracelet. And I saw that this seller had all of their patterns on sale, like a significant sale during that time. So I went through and I thought, oh, I'll just get that pattern. But then I found more, and then I found more, and then I found another seller that had theirs on sale as well. And next thing you know, I have like 14 patterns that I had purchased. So I woke up the next morning, I went to my daughter's work. I bought a beading loom. I bought it's called Rick's beading loom. It is a different kind. She said, Mom, you'll like this much better. You'll have better success with it. She knows what she's talking about. I trust my daughter. She is very good at what she does. So I got that, and look at what I did. Oh. It's hard to see. I changed the colors, but one thing to know about the Rick's beading loom, if you have ever done loom beading, most beading looms, you don't have to know the finished length of your project before you start. This one you do, and the way I had measured it, like it was still short. So I ran out of room on my wires, so my daughter said I could bead the last little section and then weave those ends in and add it on. But I decided what I'm going to do. See, I have the end on one side. I took it off of this one. It's just too short because look, I mean, it does have chain and a clasp, but it's just too short. So I decided I'm going to cut this apart, separate out the beads, which will be a nightmare, and I'll start it again. But it was my first project, and first projects, there's always a learning curve, so I'm not surprised. So I have made another one now, and this one I got right, and now I need the ends for it. But look how pretty this one is. Oh my goodness, this one is. Let's turn it this way so you can see the heart. It's so pretty. It has these pearlescent cream beads, some that are kind of clear, these silver, what is it called when it's like, it's not silver, it's not gold, it's a combination of the two. No, I can't remember the name, but anyways, has beads like that, and then it blends in to some clear beads with little sparkly ones in between. Oh, it's so pretty. I love that. So I have in here, this is a Notions pouch that I had purchased years ago from Southern Sparrow Handmade. She's not making these anymore, I don't think. I don't think she is. But in here, I'm keeping my beads for each project. So this is the project, the first one that I had made, and these are called Delica beads. These are 11, what do they call it? 1110? Oh, size 11? I don't know. I don't know that much about beads. My daughter does. And the project I just made is with these. And then I have 3 more ready to go I'm excited about. These are pastel ones. This one is a gradient. This one is some clear and then silver and gray and white. And I'm just having a lot of fun with those. So that's one thing that I'll be working on this year, is improving my loom beading. But I've got a binder here of a whole bunch of patterns, and I only printed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and I think I have 7 more that I had purchased, but oh, this is a rabbit hole that I have fallen down. So I'm loving it. It's fun. Okay, some Christmas things. Had so much fun this December. I really wanted to scale back on the millions of things that I do, but I wanted to keep the ones that I thought were the most important. So I wanted to share a few of those with you. One of them is, when I was young, growing up, I remember having a candy making day with my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, and we would just spend all day making candies, and then would take them home and use them, give them as gifts. And just remember, just so much chocolate everywhere. I remember my grandmother buying the massive slabs of chocolate that then you'd chip away at to melt and dip. And anyways, my girls said that they wanted to do that again. And so myself and my 3 daughters, we had a candy making day. And so we made peanut butter cups, homemade marshmallows. Those were the big surprise for all of us. I used to make homemade marshmallows, but I forgot how easy they were. And we made them and coated them in toasted coconut. And then we made chocolate dipped pretzels, and one more thing. I forgot what the last thing was. We had 4 candies. Oh, fudge. That's right. And I put the fudge in these little individual size containers with a little wooden like spatula spoon that we tied onto the top so that you could eat it with that. And we could just sprinkle on top the different things that we wanted. So we had mini M&Ms, we had sprinkles, we had nuts, and we had peppermint chips, like crushed up candy canes, that kind of thing. So that was really fun. We had so much fun making that, and we were all exhausted by the end. So, but I'm sure we'll do it again. We did make everything gluten-free, and half of them were dairy-free. So that was important because I have a granddaughter, son-in-law who both have celiac disease. My husband and I can't have gluten. My grandson can't have dairy. I can't have dairy. And then we have friends and family that can't. So we wanted to make sure to have homemade things that people could eat, because oftentimes people bring you food as gifts that we can't eat, and it's so thoughtful and kind, but it's really nice when it's something that you can have. So after Christmas, we had a wood carving class with, his name is Rob Webster, and he has a booth at our local Chris Kindle Mart that I love to go to every year, and I buy ornaments from him every year. Here are some of the ornaments that I buy. I will pick one for my tree every year, and any of my girls who are still living at home will pick one. So I have mostly Santas, but we have a couple of snowmen. Isn't that fun? I love that. We have another snowman in here somewhere. We have little trees. This is the one I picked this year. So we had a wood carving class with Rob, and he did one with us last year where we made trees, and I haven't painted mine. I haven't done anything with it. And so this year, he said, we're going to do a Santa ornament, because that's been my dream. I wanted to carve wooden spoons, which I did that. He taught me that first. And then we did the trees last year. And this year, this is what I made. Oh, you can't see it very well. But it's pretty rough, but not bad for my very first time. So I need to paint it. We all made a Santa, and I decided that I love to carve. I love wood carving. So I got out some more wood and I started carving another Santa. It's not done yet, but this is so fun. This is my very first one that I did myself. Even with the shoulder injury. The only thing I didn't do, because I couldn't manage it with my shoulder, is I couldn't get the grooves in the beard for like the hair. And so Rob helped me with that one, because I really didn't want to re-injure my shoulder. So that was nice of him. But it was so much fun. So here we are, my husband and I and Rob, all together. And then the ornaments that all of us had made. So I'm trying to remember how many of us were there. 6? I think there were 6 of us. It was a lot of fun. So I just have a box here of all of the wooden ornaments that I have, plus some of the things that we have carved and that I need to finish now. But that was a lot of fun. And then the last thing is we went to, on Christmas Eve, we went to the Grand America and took pictures in their courtyard outside. We did this last year and it was really fun. But we got family pictures there, and then we went and looked at all the windows that they have. They have the most amazing window displays all around their hotel. And then we went across the street to the Little America and had a breakfast buffet, which was so delicious. And then I was not hungry again for 3 days. So Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and leftovers. It was just so much food that we were all stuffed. And it was warm. I wore a sweater on Christmas Eve to take photos, and it was plenty warm. And I came home and put on a t-shirt. It was so crazy. This is the first week that it's actually been cold enough to maybe put on a sweater, but I still am not even turning the heat on unless my family's home, because it's just been so warm. So while we were there in the courtyard, there was another big group that came, and it was the Arnold family, Lindsay Arnold and my brain just went blank, with her sister, Riley Arnold from Dancing with the Stars. And they had the same idea to take pictures there with their family. So I took a family snapshot. Like I took a photo of their whole family for them so that they could all be in it. But that was kind of fun to see them there. Okay, I want to share some of the things that I received from my girls that I love. My daughters decided that they wanted to do a handmade Christmas. And so from Ella, she loves to do watercolor. And she made me this it's not a print, this artwork. I need to go get a frame for it, but it is so pretty. She is just so good at that. And then she also makes clay charms and different clay things. She made some that were included in my sister's Easter box this last year. But look what she made for me. Okay, this one is butter, and it has those lines on it that we have here in the US. And then these, they just look like little porcelain charms. They're so pretty with these little gold edges to them. Can you see? Let's see. I'm trying to turn it to try to see the little gold edging. Oh, this one right here is my favorite one. This one. They're so dainty. I love those. So I've got a progress keeper and stitch markers right here, and a beautiful print or art that I need to go and find just the right frame for. Okay, and then from my daughter Claire, she sewed gifts for all of us, and she made all of the girls the same thing, which was really fun. So we took a picture all together, which I won't put on here because I didn't ask if they were okay with that. But my daughter made things for, we don't all have curly hair, but she made a sleep bonnet, a satin sleep bonnet to help, you know, protect your hair from breakage at night, and it's reversible. And she made one for all of us. And then she also made a hair wrap towel. I don't know if you've seen these. They're kind of like this turban where then you can twist it up, and then there's a loop here that it goes into and holds it in place on your head so it's not too bulky. So I've been wanting to use this, but I wanted to share it here before I used it, so now I can use them. So that was really nice. My girls, I just love seeing how talented they are. And then my daughter Nadia, she did handmade jewelry for everybody except for me because she found something that she knew I would love. So she gave me this last year. I love strawberry shortcake and Care Bears. So she found this for me. And for Christmas, so she has been looking and finding all strawberry shortcake related things for me. So look how cute. This little hairbrush with the strawberry shortcake charm, which is adorable. And I think I'm going to take the charm off and put it on a bag because it's so cute. And I have a strawberry shortcake project bag. And then she found a whole bunch of stickers for my notebook. There's 2 of these puffy ones that are glittery. And this one. So I have all these strawberry shortcake things that are really fun stationery. And to go with that, then she found little sparkly bear highlighters. They're so adorable. So those were really fun. So now I get to use those. And then I have 3 books that I wanted to share that I received that I really loved. And this one was from my mother-in-law. And I I love charm packs. I love pre-cuts of fabric. And I've been buying, when I buy charm packs, I buy them in sets of 2. And so this one is just 2 charm packs, quilts. And then another book, this was from my friend Renee. And these are all of the Christmas stories from all of the Little House books, which is so fun. So I have read half of them so far, but they are just the sweetest. I love Little House on the Prairie books, or just the Little House books. Little House on the Prairie is one of the books in the Little House series. Then another book was a hand-painted Book of Mormon from one of my friends. She gave all of us a different hand-painted, they all had different flowers. And this one was mine. Love that. So those are the 3 books. And then I had one more thing that showed up the day after Christmas that was a complete surprise. This is from my friend Lori, and she and I have done a swap before. And she is such a talented artist, and I have one of her art pieces that I treasure and I keep over here, and I put them in several of my product photos because I just love it as a background. But this is her account, Lori Johnson Art. And she just, out of the blue, just sent me a new artwork, which is so beautiful. I love all of her paintings. She sent me that one, and then she sent me this one. But she didn't just send me 2. She also sent me an ornament, which I bought a stand for so I could display it all year, because I thought this is too pretty to just have out at Christmas time. And roses, hydrangea, I mean, that's perfect to have out all year. So I'm probably going to remove the bow so that I could see the ball all the way around a bit better, because I just think it's so pretty. But that was such a happy surprise to receive from her. So those are a few of the things that were handmade, and a couple of other non-handmade but treasured items that I received from friends and loved ones. So I think that's a hefty roundup for the whole 2025 and for Christmas. And I'm just looking forward to this year and seeing what it brings. You just never know. Like, I have always been a planner, and I'm learning to let go of having to be in control of everything and planning everything, and just letting life happen as it happens. So I usually pick a word for the year, and I didn't pick one for this year. I had one, but then I just decided, no, I don't even need that. I just need to let life happen the way that God has intended for it to happen, and I am here for the ride. So thank you so much for joining me, and I really appreciate all of your comments, your shares, the likes, and your support, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Bye.